Hello, my beauty and my beasts. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, hi, hello. My name is Jamie. I am here and I'm going to read you another scary no sleep video or Reddit no sleep video. Whatevs. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You get all the new content that way. Alrighty, guys. Let me get into this story here because it is a little long, so it might even be a 2 to 3 part video. So you guys are in for a treat this time. Alright, so this one is called Kids Say Some Scary Things. Again, I will make sure to have this link down below in the description for you guys, and I want to make sure I hear some comments on what you guys think, especially since it is going to be a 2 or 3 parter, on where you think the story is going to go. I haven't actually read further into the story. I've actually barely read into the story. I just kind of skimmed it lightly to make sure it was a story well enough to reading for you guys, the viewers. So, without further ado, we will get into this. It's called Kids Say Some Scary Things. Being a single father can take away quite a lot out of you. The single mothers get all the publicity, but I'll be the first to tell you that it's not a joke. My daughter and I have struggled time and time again since my wife passed, but now that she's learning to talk, things have gotten progressively more strange. Lexi sleeps in her own room, down the hall from the master bedroom where I stay, and I still use a monitor even though, for the most part, she sleeps through the night. Call me paranoid, but I want to make sure she has what she needs whenever she needs it. Now, though, I'm starting to wish I had thrown that thing out. 2 nights ago, at somewhere around 10:30, I was in my bed squeezing in what math homework I could into my schedule. All the lights in my room, but the desk lamp in front of me, had been switched off, and a soft melody of Mozart played from my laptop to help me focus. I heard Lexi stir. Not something that was particularly abnormal, but long enough that I knew she would call out, and of course she did. Her calm little voice, not fearful or eager, called out for her daddy, and I was more than willing to see what she needed. I paused my music, marked my page, and went to go check on her, finding her standing atop her bed on the corner closest to her closet. Daddy, Beth said she was hungry. Kids say the scariest shit sometimes. Before this, I had talked to other parents who had warned me about the imaginary friends and how disconcerting the children's disconcerting the children's conversations with them could be. But nothing really prepared me for my own experience. My curiosity got the best of me. And I asked Lex who Beth was, but her response was in no way comforting. The girl in my closet, Lexi told me, pointing to the cracked door to her small walk-in closet. Something that she almost always has me close when I tuck her in. I was sure I had. I checked the closet, fearing for a moment that there may actually be another girl in the room, but found nothing and tried to calm Lexi back to sleep. She was insistent that her friend hadn't eaten, but I was eventually able to convince her that Beth could come to breakfast with us in the morning. Lexi seemed to accept my plea for sanity and allowed me to tuck her in. She smiled at me with her cheeky little grin, and I kissed her goodnight again to go back to my math, if only for a moment. Although it couldn't have been even minutes after I had cracked my book that the monitor sounded again. Does your daddy want to play? I don't know. Are you hungry too? No? Do you want to play with me? Yes. A chill struck me with every word. It sounded like Lexi, as if she was talking back and forth with herself in a horrifyingly chilling attempt to get me to come back. I won't even pretend like I didn't think about just turning off the monitor. I thought about it very hard. But inevitably, I did not. I went back to her room to tell her to go to sleep. I found her sitting in front of her closet door with half a bagel that I had no idea where she had even got it, talking in the doorway in the dark. Lexi, you need to go to bed, I told her in a stern fatherly voice, trying to hide my obvious fear, but she just shook her head. I can't sleep because Beth wants me to play, she told me, looking to the closet and then back to me. Well, she can play tomorrow. Let's go to bed. Come on. I decided to take her to bed with me. Maybe that would calm her down enough to fall asleep. She really didn't agree at first, but eventually I got her tucked into my bed and I shut down my studying for the night. She seemed to have calmed down, and fairly quickly the both of us had fallen asleep. I vividly remember the little voice in my dream, Lexi's imaginary friend, speaking through her monitor. In my dream, I could hear the girl calling out for Lexi as she searched for her in the dark, her calls rising over the speaker as they grew closer. I woke sweaty and immediately padded to my right to find my daughter, but she had left the bed. I frantically searched the room, my eyes shooting from corner to corner before I found her sitting just outside my open door, cross-legged, illuminated by the blue glow of the laptop on my desk. Her shadow was cast on the wall behind her, countered with another, larger girl's shadow. Lexi looked up to me first with the careless, tiny smile she always wore. Then the shadow shifted, and two dim red eyes formed in its face. I noticed the red stains on Lexi's arms. Daddy, Beth wants to say hi to you. Now, guys, that's actually pretty much the end of part one. There's a little bit of an update with it, so I'll read that and then we'll go into part two. We'll see how far we get into part two. So the update is, so you guys seem worried. Lexi is fine, but needless to say, she kept me up most of the night. I'll do my best to find time to tell you guys more of her stories, if that's what you want. I'm just hoping this was a one-time thing. Lack of sleep can do strange things to your mind. And we're about to read part two. So, part two. The rest of last night went about as well as one could expect. After washing what I'm still hoping was marker ink off my 3-year-old daughter's hands and arms, I spent most of the night trying to pretend that I wasn't about to piss the bed while keeping her tight by my side. The image of Lexi's imaginary friend and her dark red eyes still lingering with me. For some of your comments, I did some looking this morning over breakfast into the former owners of the house. A house that has been around longer than I've even been alive, it seems. All the while sharing the table with my daughter and, by her accounts, her newly found friend, Beth. I couldn't help but get chills when Lexi would offer her orange juice or leftover scrapes of waffle. Talking to her as if she were right there, just out of my sight. The other parents at my groups would tell me not to tell Lex that her imaginary friends weren't real. They said I should just let her play with them and do my best not to stifle her imagination. Honestly, I can understand where they're coming from with this advice, but Beth felt like a different case entirely. She's never been around before. In fact, Lexi has never even had an imaginary friend in her life. And now all of a sudden, Beth appears with the sole intention, it seems, to terrify me. I glance up over the top of my laptop to Lexi. She'd gleam up to me with her wonderful smile, mouth filled with waffles, before breaking the glaze to chat with Beth. Her responses avoided me. Although this wasn't the case for Lexi, who seemed to be having a full-fledged conversation about different rooms in our home. 20 years earlier, before I had even graduated from high school, a young family from Germany had lived in my home as far as I was able to tell from Google. A man and woman had moved to the U.S. shortly after they lost their bakery back home. Once here, they had a daughter inside the house. A daughter who lived here to the age of 4 before dying of a particularly bad flu. However, I wasn't able to find much more information past that. No names or records to speak of, but enough to further my paranoia. I had a busy day. My elderly neighbor Linda was kind enough to let me drop Lex off for a few hours while I went out to get groceries and run a few scripts past my editor. When I came home, there were no strange reports to be heard, and I began to convince myself that the night prior may have simply been a one-off, a strange hallucination brought on by my own growing irregular sleep. When we finally made it home from Linda's, I decided to get a jump on the math, and I had neglected to do the night before. I left Lexi in the den with a recording of her cartoons and ran upstairs to grab my book. When I returned, I found her talking to herself once again in the kitchen. The TV I had left on for her was blasting horrible static tone, and the screen was a flat blue. Lexi didn't even seem to mind. Standing by the side of the counter with half of a bagel in her hand, I became fairly confused. I figured last night when she had somehow found a bagel, maybe she had dug into the cabinet and found something I had forgotten about for a while. But today I became sure when we didn't have them. I couldn't for the life of me remember buying them any in the past year or so. After I switched off the TV, I began to search. Oh gosh, guys. So first I looked only where I thought she would be able to reach. Cabinets under the sink, the lower shelves of my fridge, at the bottom half of the pantry with its flickering automatic light that added an unwanted eeriness to my hunt. But just like I had recalled, there was none to be found. And guys, we are going on 12 minutes, so let's try to read a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to have to cut you off, and we're going to go into part 2, okay? Sorry on that one. Lexi, baby, I began, trying to push past the evident shakiness in my voice. Where did you find that? She looked up and tried to hide the bagel by her side. Her look of shame made me feel pretty lousy, to be frank. But the thought that she knew she shouldn't have it made me worry even more. Beth made it for me, she responded quietly, boasting her best puppy dog eyes and saddened tone as she pled to keep it. I froze for a moment and waited as the wave of dread and fear flowed through my body. That's not actually possible, right? Okay, honey, was all I was able to muster. A cowardly phrase of acceptance before I continued my search. I began to move up through more and more unreachable spots in my hunt. Over the sink with the bread, above the refrigerator where I kept old vases and pots, next to the microwave where I stored the cleaning supplies, all with no sign. Finally, I whittled down the search to the upper shelf on the pantry. I had already searched most of the pantry, its flickering light still fresh on my mind, but I had closed the door, and as I made my way up to open it again, a feeling of total fear overcame me. A cold sweat formed to the palms of my hands and my knees began to waver. I should have known what a poor idea this was. I've seen plenty of movies, but my stubbornness got the best of me, and I pushed on. The handle to the door felt unusually cold in my grip, and my spine shivered in anticipation as my wet palms slipped on the brass. I pulled the open shroud. I had already adjusted my view upward as I opened the door, and as per usual, the automatic light took a moment to switch on. Before it did, though, on the top shelf, looking down at me, glistened those two red eyes inside the figure of a girl. Distorted and disfigured and shrouded by shadow, the figure wrapped itself in a blur of motion, as if to force me to look but not allow me to see. The darkness around it seemed to absorb into her, like it had sucked what little light there was inward to shield herself. Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to cut you off here. To all my beauty and my beasts, I love you all very much. Subscribe to my channel, give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.